Calling to order the Board of Adjustment meeting for December 15th, 2025 at 6:35 PM. Can we all stand and say the pledge of allegiance, please? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Aaron would like to do roll call, please.
Sure. Vice Chair Abercrombie,
Present.
Valerie Lundy,
Present.
Kevin O'Neill, absent, Lou Ramon,
Present.
Marshall Collet appears to be absent, and Chair Jim Rumsey.
Present.
So 4 of you are here, so we do have a quorum. And then also in attendance is myself, Karen Schmink, the Planning Director, and then CJ Gates, our Senior Planner, is taking care of our AV this evening.
All right. Are there any questions, additions, or changes to be made from the minutes from our meeting of January 27th, 2025?
It's funny.
None for me.
I wasn't here, so I can't say.
I need a motion to approve the minutes as stated.
I'll move to approve the minutes as written.
Second.
All right, I have a first and a second. Let me have vote, please.
You can do a voice vote. All those in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Anybody opposed? Motion carries 4-0.
Okay, I show we have no requests, or / public hearings, but do we have anyone online at this point, CJ? Okay, then we'll move on to new business. Karen, I think you have that.
Yes, I can do a short presentation here for you. And we'd like to thank Mr. Rumsey for a very quiet, stable year. You guys enjoy getting together, hearing items, but at a staff level, we were grateful for the light workload this year. So to that, one of the things that is before you this evening is needing to look at your rules of procedure, also known as bylaws. Back in April of 2020, the voters in Woodland Park adopted a charter change which set term limits for all of the volunteer boards and commissions. And since that time, there's been a lot of concern about the potential to not be able to get qualified folks to serve on 2 boards in particular, the Building Board of Review and then the Historic Preservation. They have specific requirements where somebody needs to come in with expertise in related subject matter to hear cases related to those particular topics. With Planning Commission and Board of Adjustment, there's no minimum qualifications to serve on the board. As we acknowledged at Planning Commission last Thursday, sorry, it's okay. The folks that serve on these committees in Woodland Park do come with an amazing background and skill set. We have engineers and attorneys and other planners and rocket scientists, amazing backgrounds to serve on these committees. But and while it adds to your analysis and the decisions that are made, that is not a requirement to actually serve on the committee. So with like Board of Adjustment, there's always that challenge of just finding willing volunteers, but there's not that additional knowledge-based threshold that needs to be taken care of. So with that concern, the Charter Committee was meeting this past year and reviewing the charter in its entirety and identified this provision on term limits as something that should go back to the voters in our community for reconsideration. And so in November, you saw on the ballot a question stating, should section 5.3 of the Woodland Park Charter be amended to make boards and commissions subject to term limits established by their bylaws? So basically passing that power back to the individual boards and committees to establish what any limit on number of terms should be. So that question was approved by the voters, and that change has gone into place, as you saw in the memo. So that charter section now reads, any limits on terms shall be as provided in the bylaws of the particular board or commission as approved by the city council. So in preparing for this, your staff here, we touched base with the city attorney's office and asked for suggested language to be included in the bylaws or rules of procedure that would address this particular topic. And so we brought to you this evening two options. One is no limits on the number of terms a Board of Adjustment members may serve. And another one is language that addresses you guys just deciding what that number would be, whether it's 2, 3, 4, you know, what is the maximum number of terms somebody should be allowed to serve on the board. And, you know, to that point of there's no special qualifications necessary to serve on this committee, there is some thought that I think needs to be taken into consideration here in terms of what was the intent of the voters of this community. And I don't know that it was a case of we eliminate term limits altogether, because that was not the question in front of them. It was, you know, should these boards establish what's a reasonable number of terms for members on their committee. And so I just ask you guys to consider that as part of your conversation here. Is no limit on terms really what the voters had in mind, and what you should then take forward to city council, who ultimately needs to approve your recommendation here? Or is there a number of terms that's considered? The length of a term is 3 years. So one thought is when you look back at what the original limits were prior to November, that it was a maximum of 8 years. 2 full terms are 8 years. So it allowed for partial terms and that kind of thing. So kind of another level would be like 3 full terms and partial terms not counting. That gets you to 9 years with you guys, but it's fairly close to that 8 that was originally fully approved by the voters. So that's just another point you may want to consider in your discussion. So the goal here tonight actually is to get a decision out of you guys. And because we can whip out real quick, you know, what that amended document looks like for the chair's signature, and get that in front of city council at their January 15th meeting. And then there's 2 other things I need to throw on the table. One of which just flew out of my head.
And one of which is the name change of the document.
Yeah, no, that one I got written down. That one I remember. You know, our document right now is just entitled Rules of Procedure, but it's essentially bylaws. And to avoid any confusion of, you know, the charter says bylaws, your document says Rules of Procedure. The easy fix is you just tack on bylaws and Rules of Procedure at the label of the document, and that covers that. So that's that staff recommendation. CJ, do you remember what the other important point was? That's a no. No. Number of terms.
If you wanted to amend it,
Yeah, that was the other thing. In your particular bylaws, they were the ones that were most recently updated out of all the boards and committees. You've got hot links to all kinds of code sections. And if there is a provision in there that you think potentially needs other revision, I would actually request that you not do that now, because the development code, the Unified Development Code, is about to go through public hearing processes this first quarter, and there's all kinds of numbers sections that then change in conjunction with that document. So
The whole document's gonna have to change later anyway.
it'll get some more shrimp or, you know, editorial, smaller kind of changes just to make sure it aligns with the new city Unified Development Code. So I would actually respectfully ask that We just flag something and just do that all at once as opposed to going down a separate rabbit hole. So if we could just focus on term limits, that would be, I think, to our advantage right now. But I defer to you all. Any questions?
I have none. Board?
No.
Not really. I do want to know what what mine is right now.
Yeah.
Or what?
I don't know how many, for the second time, I don't know what year I'm on.
Your term expires January of 2027.
It's 27.
mine?
Okay, that's,
Mine also expires, I believe, 2027. The terms used to be online, and I noticed today
Yeah.
they're not.
yeah, and I was like, okay,
But I do know, Nick, you and Lou are up.
I'm 2026.
Year 2026,
Are you also January 1, 2026?
yeah.
Okay. The other one is, do you know how many terms we have served?
I had one before this.
I've been on the board about 10 years, yeah, 10 or 11.
Nick, you were appointed as an alternate in April of 21 and a regular member in August of that year.
I've been on the board since 2019.
No.
Yeah, I think
January, your term started January 2nd of 2020.
2020.
Jim.
You're okay.
Lou, you go back to, looks like 2015,
Yeah,
September of 2015. Valerie, you're August of 2020.
Okay.
So yes, to that point, Nick and Lou, your terms are up, and council does not meet January 1st because of the holiday. So that's why you got emails from this new city clerk, Monica, asking you guys to get your applications in sooner rather than later. Because this coming Thursday is when when city council is going to talk to prospective folks wanting to re-up on their various boards and commissions and hopefully take care of appointments.
what I was planning on doing was putting in an application, though I wanted to wait to see what we did here. But if it's still appropriate, put in an application as an alternate. And my thought process for that, what little thought processes I have left, was to leave an opening. Now we already do have an alternate. He's not here today. So we've got enough that the board can do business. I'd like to think that maybe we have a better shot truly at getting somebody to apply if there's an opening on the board rather than an alternate. You know, it sounds more enticing. And meanwhile, I would still be available as an alternate to fill in
Yeah.
when we need that.
So Lou, that's it. So one great thought process, by the way. I like where you're going. How does the alternate role fit into this whole term limit thing and
They're subject to the same term limits, which is why, you see and the two options in front of you. Option one was no limits on terms. The second option was actually establishing a limit on the number of terms, but the language also says partial terms do not count towards the total number of terms. So even as an alternate, if you're doing a full 3-year stint,
it would be
it's still a term.
it would count as a term. Okay, so you're on the board, the alternate, whatever, it's on the board. Would an alternate, I want to ask this question. Let's say, hypothetically speaking, Sally gets appointed as an alternate on January 1st, and then, halfway through the year, she gets appointed as a full board member. Are those partial terms?
You would need to look at what the expiration date was on the seat that she's filling. Because that's one of the things that makes it a little confusing is right now and where we got off a little bit on our staggering of terms is we're going to number them. So the term goes with the seat number. So if you're
So this seat number,
one,
these two seat numbers go this way, these two seat numbers, and the alternates go on this one.
and we're trying to set it up so the alternates, they're right now under the same year.
Okay,
All 2028, so I actually asked the clerk to make one of those 2029 and leave the other one at 2028. So to
Okay.
split those up. And yeah, it's Jim, Valerie, and Kevin are all on the same cycle. So I'd like to get one of those seats peeled off into 2028
Yeah.
also.
and
So
that now makes a lot of sense. Yeah, okay, so a seat has a term.
yeah,
So if
so
you're moving from one, I mean, you couldn't move from a board seat one to board seat two, but if you move from alternate seat to a board seat, you'd be taking a different seat and be on a different cycle.
I'm pretty sure that's how
Okay.
we would shake that out.
Is that with all deference and appreciation and agreement of maybe we don't adjust the rules of procedure for that today? However, is that something that we would recommend be codified in the rules of procedure?
I think your question was where we're
Yes,
gonna
I
be
think
voting either
clarify.
on option one or option two.
100%.
No, I
No,
know
this is
Just more,
different than that.
just more for sort of thought process. And is this something that maybe we do as a board want to just put a pin in and talk about? Or is the rules of procedure bylaws not the appropriate place to talk about, the seats and the expiration dates? And
Well, let me defer that a little bit, or suggest that we defer that. We're going to be making some updates to the rules of procedure later on after the new code is taken care of. Let's ask this. Karen, can you get with the clerk and also with legal and see if there's anything that they would suggest that we add or put into an update to the rules of procedure after the code is fixed up,
Yes.
so we do
Thank
it as
you.
one lump there.
100% what I was looking for, Lou.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Because-
I'm gonna throw something out here that's maybe weird. I kind of think one thing, and I understand it's hard. It's always hard to find people that are willing to do this, okay, even though it's not a whole lot of work, really. But there's a part of me that says doing two in a row is cool, but like if there was a third one that you move into an alternate spot as opposed to another,
Has to do
Regular.
another term as a member.
yeah. It's just it's a thought. I don't know how complicated it makes things. Or would we deal with that in our thing?
I think those extra levels of rules are not necessary because so much of the time there's natural attrition and turnover. And I don't see that as really that necessary, because that was one of the conversations we had at Planning Commission that, after 9 years, that's pretty close to a decade. A lot of times folks are ready to
They're ready to
do
move
something
on.
else,
Yeah.
take a break, so I don't think spelling all that out in that level of detail is truly that helpful.
Yeah.
And the tool I was suggesting in terms of numbering the seats and stuff, that's more just management on our end at a staff level to make sure we don't lose track of what somebody's getting appointed to, because that got a little scrambled in there just because it wasn't tracked real tightly, and then you had staff turnover and stuff. But I think that's an easy way to tighten that up without a 5-page, 50-page manual.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure how you could put it in there. It just seems like it would be a good way to, if you get somebody to come in, a good way to get them in and still feel secure.
Yeah,
I don't know, but I get the not.
I've discovered my 6 years of doing this, and I'm sure Lou with your 9, Nick with your 6. They think it's until they find out just what all's involved with Board of Adjustments, and that, we make a wrong decision, where we could end up, or where the city could end up based on our decision on a variance. And I think people don't want to deal with that. And I think, because everyone goes, yeah, what do you do? So I explain it, and they just go, no, I don't want anything to do with this.
But we also need to make sure that they understand that the planning department has worked with so many people that, geez, we only had 2 meetings and they were both administrative.
This year was
This-
administrative.
Yeah.
This
And
is,
that's what I explained to them. It varies. We'll go months without doing anything.
Yeah,
And the planning commission has done so well this year, and I've talked to CJ and Karen about this, because I've come in and gone, what's going on, guys? And they've done a fine job of screening all the applicants.
yeah.
So what you're saying
And
is we're
working
not
with
getting
them.
enough work on the board, fire CJ.
No,
Oh, okay,
I say keep
sorry.
him
That
on.
was just-
He's
okay.
keeping
You
it.
can't have it that easy.
Woke up back there.
Yeah, so just going back to Val's piece, I think I think Karen's point is well taken. I think
Yeah.
less rules the better. I will say, just from a not a rules, establishment and norms, what Lou has talked about, I think is amazing. Definitely in my head at some point of doing the same thing, of sort of saying, hey, look, if the board's running, but if there's an alternate spot, maybe I take that spot and
Yeah.
I can be around and help out. That's
That's kind of part of where I.
kind of
where I
establish a
am.
norm though versus a
Yeah.
firm fixed.
Okay,
Well, I mean, I can relate to this, because as an alternate member, I did and was called in to sit on
Yeah.
a meeting as an alternate member while I was, on my term there. And then I was brought up from an alternate when Catherine Nakai went to city council. That's how I became a regular board member. But I had actually had to sit on a meeting before and as an alternate
Yeah.
Oh,
and
yeah.
help. So I think it's a good way of, depending on how many terms you vote, if we vote for terms, or if we just keep option 1 the way it is, or option 2 with an inserted number of terms. It's, even as an alternate member, correct me if I'm incorrect, they can come to a regular meeting and just sit in the gallery.
You
Where
just
they're
get-
expected to
no,
come to the meeting,
they
actually.
can sit up here, they can't vote, right?
I believe that's it. I didn't read the rules and
I'm pretty
procedures.
sure
details.
that's,
I didn't know if they could sit up here on the diocese,
No,
or they
they're-
could be
they're-
available.
They're there, but
They're
and
there.
they can't participate.
I know they
normally.
can't participate, but they can sit,
Uh-huh.
listen,
Oh, yeah.
learn,
uh-huh.
and see how it actually runs as an alternate member.
And so back to your question, as much as I want to like number the seats and have a term associated
Mhm.
with each of the seats, your rules of procedure is really more about, was it a partial term or a full term?
Yeah.
So that first stint on the board, if you were, regardless of whether you were an alternate or a regular seat that you were filling, was it a partial term or a full term?
Mhm.
So if you're doing the whole enchilada, the whole 3 years, regardless of which one it is, it's counted as a full term.
Yeah.
But a lot of times somebody who comes in an alternate, they either only fill part of the term before they move into a regular seat, or it's partway through that particular
Yeah.
term or appointment. So that initial term a lot of times is a partial term. And so after that, if you're picking 3 as the number, you'd have the potential for 3 full terms.
Now, a question, Karen and CJ. How have other boards and panels in the city, have they started to address this?
Yes, you're my last one.
Oh, there you go.
Okay. What are the other folks doing generally?
Well, as expected, Board of Review and Historic Preservation both went with no limits on terms because of that specialized knowledge that's required to serve on those committees. Planning Commission just wrapped theirs up last Thursday. And since those guys have been spending 3 years now massaging language in great depth, they opted for a limit on the number of terms, but they didn't like the city attorney's language. So it took us 5 motions in 30 minutes. They came up with a different option. So what CJ's handing out for you is a summary of the options. So option 1 is, how this would look in your bylaws. Option 1 is no limit. Option 2 is the one suggested by the city attorney, R2A, and then option 2B is what the planning commission had put together for their language. Because they were concerned about, folks, you know, if you're like Nick, you're here now, you max out 3 terms and then you go off and do other things and college football games with your kids or whatever. And someday when you retire and you want to come back, you know, that ability to like start another
Yes, cycle.
stint, another cycle. So that's what the planning commission language was doing, was basically allowing that
Which is option 2B.
to be.
To be,
Mhm.
Yeah. There was a little concern about what if somebody's trying to game the system and I don't remember the nuances of the logic, but it's, well, I only did a partial term, or I'm gonna resign because partial terms don't count, and then I'm off for like 2 days, and then I have city council reappoint me, and you know,
If you wanna go to that.
I don't
many
see that
years,
happening.
it's
Good,
like-
good on you.
I don't see that
Yes.
happening, number one. And number two, ultimately, it is the city council's decision
Mhm.
to reappoint you
Right.
every 3 years, period.
Yeah.
That they may decide it's been nice.
Yeah.
That's always in their discretion.
Yeah.
So,
So I'll say I kind of really like the option 2B. The consecutive thing is interesting, and it does create more space for future stuff if somebody coming back, and you know, it just avoids sort of a weird like, nah, did my stint, that was 20 years ago, but now I'd like to come back and do that. So I guess I would sort of hadn't really thought about that, but that's an interesting concept, and 2B is pretty interesting to me.
yeah, I like either of those two, either 2A or 2B. I think we ought to have some finite number. I would throw out either 3 or 4 terms.
Well, yeah, this is all good, and I'm just sitting here running numbers in my mind. And like you said, Lou, you've been 9 to 10 years now. And I know that's close because you were serving when I came up.
Yeah, September 15 is, I guess, when I started.
I mean, a number that's just kind of clicking and staying in my head is 3 terms.
Well, what I'm thinking, really and truly, I think we need to try to get more.
Lou, speak up, please.
I think we need to try to get more younger people. Like Nick's generation and younger on the board and involved in the city and helping taking care of the city.
Yeah, a good step I recommend, and I was already on the board, but the Citizens Academy, if you can get someone to sign up before it fills up, because it fills up so quick,
Yeah,
that's what redirects, what reconfirm myself. I'm in the right place and doing the right thing. And then even my wife said, I'd like to get involved. And I said, there's an opening on the utility board. Apply for it. So she's on the utility board with Skip and enjoys it. So I think just talking that way and Citizens Academy is how we're going to get some of the younger members of the community.
mhm.
And every year when we do planning night at Citizens Academy, there is a commercial for serving on the boards and committees.
Mhm.
So we do promo that.
Yeah, you do.
So,
But it's very good. And Citizens Academy, it made me start thinking about, okay, I'm helping the city, this is good. You learn the ins and outs of actually how the city of Woodland Park, all the departments and the various functions run and how they intertwine.
and so Lou, I appreciate your comment about 3 or 4 terms, but that's where I'd like to direct you guys back to the original limit of number of years that somebody would be on. A committee was actually 8. When they put the limits, the voters put the term limits in place. It was a maximum of 8 years. And so that's where 3-year terms is probably closer to that original intent.
Mhm.
Mhm.
And I would think likely more palatable to city council and then the voters in terms of just fostering that trust that we heard you twice. So,
Well, I mean, we've been having our open discussion. I mean, I guess what we need now is to try and bring it down to what the board would like. To adjust our ROP, our rule of procedures.
One-
Am I correct in moving forward like this?
sure, what you may want to do is ask for basically two motions, one to deal with like, well, you may need three depending upon how you go about doing this. But which option, so that's one, which option are you looking at? The second one is how many terms, if you're picking one that has a limit. And then the third motion is around changing the title of the document.
Okay. So do I hear a motion as to which option we would like to look at?
I will make a motion to change our rules of procedure to adopt option 2B
Mhm.
from the memo for the Board of Adjustment as our new section regarding term limits.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second that.
All right, we have a first and a second. We will adjust our rules of procedure for the Board of Adjustments to go with option 2, which currently reads, or to be added to the.
No, you have
municipal-
to add the 3 year, I mean, or
Yeah, well,
that, whatever you want, but
Yeah.
you have to add the number.
yeah, we'll add a number. That's gonna be our next motion. That we accept option 2B. And that will read, accepting the option 2B, a Board of Adjustment member shall not serve more than, and next motion will be to insert a number of consecutive terms on the BOA. Partial terms do not count towards the number of terms an individual may serve on the Board of Adjustment. We have a first and a second. Roll
The
call,
vote,
please.
Valerie Lundy,
Yes. No, which word you want me to use? I'm sorry. It's been a long week.
Lou Ramon,
Yes.
Chair Rumsey,
Yes.
Vice Chair Abercrombie.
Yes.
Motion passes 4-0.
Okay. Do I hear a motion? Well, discussion first. My mind's clicking on as to the number of full consecutive terms is 3.
I'll say I can get behind 3. I'm not sure, just for the sake of discussion here, if I feel so strongly about it. I mean, I'm definitely open to considering more, but 3 seems pretty reasonable. I don't have a strong push to say, hey, here's why it should be 4. And on the advice of staff and sort of based on that rationale, 3 seems pretty reasonable.
And I don't really have a position one way or the other myself either.
I feel like you do, Nick, and you guys, I think 4 would be an outside number. But given particularly what Karen brought up, that the original intent was about 8 years. I think 3 is.
3 is probably reasonable.
Sounds good.
Any further discussion?
Have you got a formal motion?
Yes.
Sorry,
Yes.
I move that we limit the term numbers, consecutive terms to 3 consecutive terms.
Second.
All right. Call the vote, please.
Lou Ramon,
Yes.
Chair Rumsey,
Yes.
Vice Chair Abercrombie,
Yes.
and Valerie Lundy.
Yes.
Motion carries 4-0.
Okay, and I think our last discussion point, which we need to bring to motion, is changing our rules of procedure. And what were you suggesting that we have that and also
It's at the top of the second page of the memo that we gave you guys, and that's to change the title to bylaws and rules of procedure.
So it's just a insert at the beginning.
Yeah.
It's just at the
Correct.
very top of the document is where that happens.
Right, do I hear a motion to accept?
I'll make a motion to amend our rules, the title of our rules of procedure to incorporate the word bylaws, so that it is now bylaws and rules of procedure.
As suggested by the legal department.
Yes.
Second,
All right. We have a motion and a second that we will change our title of rules of procedure and bylaws
no bylaws and
Bylaws and rules of procedure.
and bylaws and rules of procedure.
Correct.
All right, we've had a first and a second. May we have the vote, please?
Chair Rumsey,
Yes,
Vice Chair Abercrombie,
Yes.
Valerie Lundy,
yes,
and Lou Ramon.
Yes,
Motion carries 4-0. So thank you. That's what I had for you related to amending your bylaws and rules of procedure to comply with the recent charter change. So thank you very much for your time and attention.
okay. CJ, has any of our other members joined online?
No.
Okay, I show we have no reports.
Good.
Nope, go ahead.
I do have a report. Really, I first of all want to thank you all very much for your work on various work sessions throughout the past 3 years related to the Unified Development Code. Definitely appreciate your input periodically throughout that whole process. And yes, Valerie, it is still going on.
I'm not saying a word, not saying.
But we are down to the end where last Thursday evening, we finally did the formal presentation of the whole document. We'll get that link uploaded. But under the planning page on the city's website, there is a separate tab for Unified Development Code. And if you go to that tab, there's a short video overview of each of the 7 chapters. There's another one that's an overview of the whole document. And then, like I said, we'll have the presentation from last evening. So the overview is nice because it really is the whole document. Oh, here's CJ. Look at that. UDC in the bottom left of the blue box. This is the page.
I actually saw that today on the web.
Yeah. So we need to update this to Skosh, but and then there's this link. The first one says go to the document viewer. So there's an explanation on how to use Conveo for anybody out there. And then there's the next link is to access the document through the Conveo. So you can go in and add comments, review anything you want. And then, like I said, there's that whole list of all the other videos that Jen and I made. Please be kind. We are in no way, shape, or form in the running for any type of Oscar, Emmy, Grammy. I mean, it's it's pretty rudimentary. But it's consistent in terms of how we present information. But the overview gives you a nice overview of the document itself, and then each of the chapters gives you a little more meat about what's going on in the purpose of that chapter. So the goal is we need to get through the review period here, take any comments that we get into consideration as part of preparing the final document for public hearing. We are scheduling the Planning Commission hearing for January 22nd. Since they are the ones who actually make a recommendation to City Council on that. And then I think it's February 19th is when City Council will hear that. Is that right, CJ, or am I off? Okay. Yeah, February 19th for City Council hearing. Okay, so that or it's March 5th. I forget. It's early spring because a City Council wanted to definitely hear this before the April election. So I'm on a deadline.
Okay.
So feel free to go in, take a look. You know, there was a lot of back and forth over the last 3 years. Not every comment or suggestion was incorporated because there was otherwise legal concerns, or the consensus of the group was something slightly different. But formatting is very consistent throughout the document. Very few of the metrics were revised, really tried to stay true to what we have now. If it was anything, it's like additional notice time for public hearings. That was one of those that changed. We specified metrics for extensions. You guys don't see that so much here, but like a conditional use permit, somebody who doesn't get it together 2 years after they got their CUP awarded, a lot of times they're coming back asking to extend it for another 2 years. So clearly have that spelled out. So the first extension's administrative at just the staff level. The second one goes to planning commission. And if they're coming in for a third one, they're going to city council and they better have a good reason. So, it's that kind of cleanup and additional structure and things that they're in the document. So it's definitely a huge step forward from what we have. So hopefully we can get it across the finish line and my team can start learning learning navigation of a new document.
Yeah.
So that's what I wanted to talk about briefly under announcements. It's just the status of that particular project. So thank you.
Well, I think you guys and the whole team just did an outstanding job at tilting at this tremendous windmill.
Yes.
Very much so.
And I like the way you are presenting it on the website too, so people can get an understanding of what's going on.
At least provide opportunity. And I'm
If
sure
they don't
I
look at
still,
it, they can't, well, they can, they still will complain about something, but
Oh, yeah.
it's like, if it's been up there, can't say it was hidden.
well, and I'm sure they'll have complaints that the review period wasn't long enough or, some of that kind of stuff and what we did it over Christmas. And it's like, sorry.
Well, I would just like to say one thing. My term here is, first year as chair has been limited to 2 administrative meetings. But I will say this, we have a very good group in the planning department. I want to thank you and your staff. I want to thank my board members, all of you, for the support. We've been together for a lot of years. 2 terms, most of us. Lou, I've been with you for, for almost 3. So I just want to say thank you. And it's been my pleasure in the 2025 year to be your chair.
Thanks, Jim. I think the feeling was mutual from this side of the table.
It's been
It sounds like the current cabinet meetings, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, and I did have one other thing related to the UDC, because I know this is like the burning question on everybody's mind. The short-term rental ordinance adopted by the citizens is exactly as adopted by the citizens. There was one word that changed where it references this code. It now references this UDC, but otherwise all the other meat and metrics is exactly what was part of the citizens ordinance. So just if you watch any of those videos, you'll notice that we mentioned that more than once.
Wow.
And they're not that long to pick through, and because they're broken up, you can watch one here, one there kind of thing. Or it's like, oh, I want to look at chapter 3 today. What's going on here? So I think that helps folks kind of break it into pieces.
Okay.
So that's all we had.
Okay. I adjourn this meeting at 7:18 of the Board of Adjustments on December the 15th.